Okay, welcome again. Let's continue from earlier. I think it's working. I'm not sure. I think so. Yes, okay. So let's go through our Marks and Quen class. So we're going to start off with some of the Tsaos. I've actually put two of the Tsaos online on YouTube, and I'll be doing the rest later today. And I will also be putting up all the forms as I go through them during the next week or so. So hopefully you can all hear me. Yes, good. Okay. Hi, Leslie. Let's go through then a little bit of warming up, and then through the Tsaos. Then we'll do a little bit of breathing, and then we'll do some of our practice. So welcome everyone to the Marks and Quen Taiji class. And first, let's do some exercise similar to what we did earlier, the bamboo, and then we'll do some other sounds as well. So with your feet apart, softening through your hips, softening through your shoulders, raising the arms by expanding the fingers, and rest. Rest your arms on your back. Try to relax your shoulders and your elbows in such a way that your wrists become sticky. So they're going to adhere to your back and have this lightness through your crown, as if there's a stick going all the way up, and then as if something's drawing you over, using gravity to let the head fall. To return, soften through the legs. And if I exaggerate, you're softening through the legs in such a way that your head comes up all on its own. It's not a case of lifting your head. So you're falling through the body. Internally is better. So it's not really a physical thing, but just this idea of dropping. Then your hips travel forwards. Let your head fall backwards. Let the shoulders open. A really dodgy neck, so I won't go very far. And that's actually important not to go too far. Just go to where you're comfortable. And then soften the hips again in order to return. Let the head fall forward. Soften through the legs and the hips. Hips to the front. Then release. So loosening off the spine, across the shoulders, through the hips, even the legs. It's important not to go too far, so you can physically, lean back and all that kind of stuff, which is great physically, but really you're trying to connect the internal body, using the spine to keep everything connected, and then release, not breaking any one particular part, like the back, or the neck, or the hips, but trying to connect everything as if you're one big, if you can see this, like everything connects. When you bend one part, it moves every part. It's not breaking at one specific point. So your vertebrae go all the way down. There are many joints going through your back. So try to feel each one of those opening to a small degree, And then returning by falling back towards the ground. And the hips are travelling forwards and downwards. And your crown is actually going upwards, not back. You're actually going upwards with the crown. But then let go of the weight of the head. So it appears as though you're pushing your head back, but you're not. You're actually resting as if there's something here, and you're just resting on it. At the same time, this light pulling up. Then release the shoulders. Release the hips, release the spine. So you have this dropping down sensation. Okay, and the same to the sides. So you're a bamboo stalk, the top is being drawn down. I like to say that it's like like the really thin bamboo reed, and there's a hedgehog climbing up the reed, and the higher it goes, the more its body weight causes the reed to bow over. Then it thinks, I don't like this, so it crawls back down, and the body returns, just like the bamboo reed, all on its own accord. So it's not trying to push, not trying to be tense or anything, but just feel the weight of your head and use that to assist your movements so that you don't have to use your own energy. Then put your attention on the hip as if it's falling down, or as if the hedgehog is crawling down. If you have a hedgehog, you can try it. So you're falling with the head, falling with the hips. Falling with the head. Let your ribs open. Falling with the hips. And one more. I don't know if you can hear me really. John said earlier, loud and clear, so thank you for that. But I feel like I'm shouting for you to hear. I don't know if I speak a little bit softer, if it's better or not. I don't know. So let's do the third part of the same exercise. We've done forwards and backs, so we've opened the front and back of the spine. We've opened the side of the spine. Now we're going to do everything in between. It's really important if you have any spinal issues, if you have low bone density, if you have blood pressure issues, be very, very cautious on this movement. And in fact, if you have any of those, I would recommend that you just continue with the forwards and back one and the left and right one. Because if you make a mistake once, that's kind of it. So your neck is such a key component to the body. So just be very, very cautious. And somehow we think that doing less is losing out, but it's not. Hurting and damaging yourself and not being able to practice for the next month, that's losing out. So I would suggest that if you have any of these issues, just go very, very light. If you're over 200 years old, definitely don't do these actions. And it's important to absolutely follow the instruction, not the shape, but the instruction. So that being said, let's move through this circular action. And all movements start from your center, from the dantian, or from your hips is easier to begin with, or at least the lower body. So your arms are still resting behind. The head is going to fall forwards first. Just watch first rather than to do it if you haven't seen it before. So your head is going to fall forwards. You're going to do nothing at all with your head, shoulders and chest. The only parts that you can affect are going to be through your hips and your lower body. It's going to look like your head is going around like this. But actually, it's your body that's turning. So let your body hang. Your hips are going to turn by relaxing one leg. Then your hips are going to travel forwards under your shoulder, which brings the head back. You're not moving the head back, it's falling there of its own. Stop once you reach the back and then reverse by taking your hip away. Return to the center, then the other side. So take away one hip, your body turns, your hip travels forwards, let the head fall back, take away the hip again to change the direction to the other side. Stop at the back, and reverse. Let the head continue to fall. One of the really bad habits that we've picked up over the years is we control the neck. But of course, the more you control the neck, the more it gets stiffer and tighter, almost gets welded. So as we get older, we lose the mobility in the neck. So here we're attempting to oil that joint by moving from somewhere else. So you're softening the muscles. Any tension in the neck will restrict the blood flow, restrict nutrients getting there. So we're effectively strangling the neck. But instead we're going to free up the muscles. Allow your circulation to find its way through to the brain, through to the face, through to the skull. By unlocking the doors rather than by using force. And if I can give you a small example, this is the head, this is the body, the hips. In order to move the head, you can move through the hips. So you're moving this part to affect the head. That's a really dodgy example and didn't work at all. But the idea, you get the idea, is that your head is hanging and your body is doing all the work. Any mobilization from you is only from here, not from the upper body. So try to feel that your upper torso is absolutely loose, absolutely resting. You're free to talk all the time, there's no strain on your throat. If you're pushing, you'll feel it's difficult to kind of speak and the muscles bind. So instead, relax, soften. And a really, really great freeing idea is that if you encompass any difficulty, stop there. There's absolutely nothing wrong in just stopping there and then going back again. And when I first started this in 2009, this exercise, because of a neck injury, I actually couldn't go past here without pain. So really stupidly, and I really regret it now, is I just forced myself through because the teacher at the time was doing that. And yeah, it was the worst thing I could have done. So it put me back another year or so. And then after a while, I just thought I'm going to follow the instruction because this isn't getting anywhere. A long way around to learn that. But in any case, after a while, and just by being soft, you can gradually extend that envelope and you can gradually improve the suppleness of your body. And that's the key. The key isn't to do it now. The key is to find the method that will carry you through the rest of your life. So when you're ready to finish, always return to the centre, to the front. And every movement in Tai Chi, whether it seems like a warm-up or a cool-down, which don't really exist in Tai Chi, regardless, always find the method. So the method of coming up is not to push up, which is yang, it's to fall down, which is yin. So your tail is going to fall to the ground, the knees are going to soften. As a result of that, your head comes up. So you don't have to do it, that just happens on its own. To close the exercise, bring your feet slightly closer inside your width, the width of your hips. Energize the upper and back through the upper lungs, breathing in. As if you're surrounding a ball, it's really huge. And then pressing down, opening the fingers, let the elbows hang, breathing out. Let the shoulders open, let the crown lift, and rest. Okay, let's do another Tai Chi Tsao. Tsao, T-S-A-O, which is a word meaning to link the body together and at the same time to loosen the joints. It's a difficult thing to translate into English. There isn't really a direct translation, but it means to connect and to link together. And I'll borrow Bruce again here. It's exactly this. It's linked, it's connected. You move one part all the way down to the soil. It's moving. Everything's connected, but when you let go, it just wants to return to its natural state of harmony, its natural balance. So exactly that idea. And in the Tsao's to be aware of that and conscious of that. So let's now go through the monkey, the second Tsao. These are both on YouTube at the moment on my channel. So with your feet shoulder width distance again, make a mirror image of me. So raising the arms, palms facing each other. And then as if you're going to wind a wheel, your hands are tied to a wheel, which is rolling backwards. So drop your weight into one leg, lift that same hand. Drop your weight into the other leg, lift that same hand. So we'll just get started first, and then I'll give some instruction after. So the wheel is rolling backwards. Stranger instruction, but remember to breathe. Or a better way to say it, allow your breath. So if you feel you're holding anything, then we've restricted it in some way. So soften. Allow the body to move. Allow your lungs space to breathe. Allow a place for gravity, like falling onto your leg. From the side. I'll give you my best side. For those of you that are really fed up being stuck at home, this is really, really fantastic for cleaning doors. Clean one side, clean the other side. So your palms are kind of facing each other, cleaning windows. Mr. Miyagi. Temptation is to twist or to pull, but your palms more or less facing each other. For Leslie, when I'm cleaning windows. So this wheel, turning backwards. Your spine is the hub. Your spine turns and your arms follow. And keep going. I just realised that I thought that on Facebook, on the camera, I can see a big green mark, and I thought it was a speech bubble from Facebook to say stop recording or something. I just realised it's this. Anyway, the nickname for this exercise is the monkey. The monkey. If I were to ask you to do an impression of a monkey swinging through the trees, you might do something like this. But monkeys don't do that. They do this. They hang. They allow gravity to do absolutely everything. And they catch. Let gravity do absolutely everything. Catch. Let gravity do everything. What do? We interfere with our own movements and close all the joints, coordinate all the muscles to make the movement. If you did that, there's no way. If a monkey did that, there's no way it could swing through the trees. It would be tired in like 3 minutes. So the idea is to swing, catch, and fall. So, after catching the branch, you're falling down, then releasing. Catching, falling down, and releasing. Exactly the same here. So you're falling down onto one leg. That creates this turning through your body. You're falling down, your arm is also falling down. Now, isn't it fantastic? Such a simple exercise, but isn't it so brilliant that this arm falling helps this hip to fall, which helps the body to turn, which helps the other hand to lift. I know. So have this mental picture in your mind that one side of you helps the other side. So one side falling down presses your body, helps you to turn, and helps the other side to lift. So we're kind of using the force of gravity in order to lift the other side. Our super controlling brain wants to control all of it, so we want to do the falling, do the lifting, do the turning. That's way too much stuff to do. And bit of a silly example, but if you went shopping and you had I don't know, just an idea springs to mind, 24 toilet rolls, and you try to carry all 24 of them separately, that's a lot of things to carry. So to carry your arm or your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, all the major joints, plus all the things in between, to carry them all is quite difficult. But if you had a basket or a bag, and you put all the toilet rolls in the bag and you just carried one thing, surely that's got to be a lot more efficient, a lot easier. And it's that. You're just letting all the shopping, all your toilet rolls, let all your toilet rolls sit in the bag, and you only need to lift the handles, nothing else. So, the handles are your crown and one wrist. Everything else falls. Common problems are to pull the elbow back or to push your body weight across. Don't need to do any of that. Just lift the crown, lift the wrist, nothing else. So fall. The arm actually stays in front. It doesn't really go back. It just stays and then releases. Stays, releases. Again, as we progress through the weeks or the days, I'll gradually add different layers of instruction. But the key always is to go back to what seems to be the basics. They're not basics, they're actually the advanced things, because they're the things we overlook the most and the earliest. Falling, falling, connecting, falling and connecting. And again, if you're new to this, which some of you might be, the idea really, as a rough guide, is that when your weight's on one leg, your fingers all aim forwards. Then as your weight approaches the centre, your elbow and hand get so heavy that your fingers more or less point up and down. Not quite, but more or less. Then again, as your weight finds its way to one leg, all the fingers aim more or less the same way. Then release, one down, one up. Forwards, release, forwards, release. So aiming forwards, then split, down and up. Forwards, split, down and up. Or read a thing on there, or saw something on the internet recently. So I've just realised I've said down and up. But in the English language, that's incorrect. It's up and down. So lots of words are paired together specifically. And yeah, I just saw this little clip somewhere, and it said you would never say to someone, "Oh, have you got pepper and salt?" Always salt and pepper. Or Billy and Bertie, never Bertie and Billy. That's a strange one, but yeah, you get the idea. So I mentioned the wrong way around. It's not really down and up, but up and down. But having said that, down is the assisted movement because gravity is doing it for you. Falling is you're being helped by gravity to fall. So really that would be the correct way around. The falling part assists the lifting part. And if you think of the seesaw, the falling part assists the lifting part. It's not the lifting part per se, it's the falling part that creates this. So in a similar kind of vein, one side falling assists the other side lifting. And then the hand and the elbow both fall, which assist this turning. Okay, and relax. So with your feet slightly in again, inside the shoulder width, so your body weight's falling directly to the ground. Open up the upper lungs, inflate. And then as if you're lightly pressing a ball under some water, let the elbows hang, the crown lift, and rest. Okay, so we're going to do, I think, one more Tsao. So I'd like to do 3. There are 6 in total. There are 6 Tsaos to learn. And each of them are related to each other in some way. And they seem like warming up exercises. But they're not really for warming up. They're really to connect the body, which has the effect of warming up, I guess. So the idea is to realise the internal body. Realise as in to make real. Not to know about it, but to feel in your own experience the connections of the internal aspects of your physical body. So in this exercise, as we progress through the months, through the days, the weeks, the months, and even the years, gradually you start to become more aware of what's happening inside, not what the outside thing is. And it's really interesting when you watch people that have done a few years, you can really see something a little bit different from someone else who has the movements exactly correct, very precise, but actually there seems to be no content, nothing inside. So it's the inside that we're trying to look for, trying to search for, this falling down. And gravity is our friend. Well, that should be a saying. Gravity is our friend. So let's do one more Tsao, which might as well do number 3, which is to open up the back a little bit, to open up the shoulders a little bit, to open up the front a little bit. And it's nicknamed the crane, like the crane that flaps its wings. And again, similar to the monkey, you know, the crane doesn't really do this. It floats and then it presses. It floats and then it presses with the direction of the wings and all that kind of good stuff. And in the same way here, it's not pressing down, pressing up. It's falling down, expanding, falling down and lifting. The emphasis being on falling, not moving lower, not moving downwards, but falling downwards, releasing downwards, letting go downwards. As an example, you know, if I want this to be on the ground, I could push it there, which is a lot of effort on my part. Much easier is to let it fall. Once it falls, you can change it in some way. Can't believe we just did that. But you can change it in some way. By falling and then adding just a small thing, you can create a really big reaction to change the movement in some way. So in this instance, we're going to fall and let go of one leg in order that the movement changes to a sideways action. Realise I've just talked an awful lot. Let's just get on with it, and then I'm going to put my back to you, so I apologise, but follow my movements roughly, and then I'll give more instruction after. So first, the arms fall. They fall. They fall. Then relax one leg, so your body starts to turn. Then relax the other leg. Relax one leg. Relax the other leg. If you relax one leg as your arms fall, they'll start to bypass you, and then the same the other way. And then find your shoulder and your back. Find your shoulder and your back. Okay, and continue on your own. Feel it. And to add some small details, fall, expand, 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 fall and expand. So, as you're falling, look into your own mind and your own outlook and try to recognize internally whether we've changed the instruction. So we know to fall, we know to expand. Have we changed it to turn the body and move the arms here? If you have, that means we've lost the method, we've lost the way. So it's not a case of trying to make this shape. The shape is really a way to carry the ideas. The key, the way of moving, is to fall and expand. Fall and expand. If you're soft enough and connected enough in the body and you're quite supple, your body may turn this far. If you're not and you try to turn that far, all you'll do is twist. It's important to fall. Falling and turning happen at the same time. And effectively, if you're falling to one foot, your knee will travel towards that foot, or at least in the same line. If you're turning, which is actually twisting, your knee will twist. This is something that we must be very careful to avoid, not to twist your knees. If you're trying to turn, you're doing a whole different thing. It's not Tai Chi anymore. So let's just make sure we're absolutely on track and you're falling onto one leg. If you were to look down at your knee, you would notice that it covers your toes. If you look down and you can see your knee next to your toes, then it means we've twisted the body in some way and added tension. So to combat that, just fall onto one foot. It's really not important how far you turn, but what is important is that you're falling down. And it's so difficult, so I really must stress that again. You're falling down. You're not trying to turn. The turn happens because you fell down. So you're falling down with the arms and the leg and the hip. And if you turn maybe this much because you fell, that's fantastic. If you turned this much, but are twisting the knee, twisting the back, tensing the shoulders, but you managed to do the right shape, I haven't done that for ages, shape, then that's completely a waste of time, if you don't mind me saying. So, get your attention, look inside. Probably there's no one around you, or if you're in very small, safe groups, no one's really looking at you. There should only be one person looking at you, and that is you. So put your attention inside in such a way that you're following the ideas of how to move your body in such a way that you can't damage yourself or create any stress or tension. The whole goal is to do the opposite to that. Free the body by losing stress, losing tension in the muscles, freeing the joints, the articulations. And you can, I don't know if you can see actually, but if the knee's coming in, well now the whole body has to compensate in some way and the knee is taking all that load. Instead, just rest on your foot, on your foot. Or just got some post. Toilet roll. So, falling, expanding, falling, expanding. Here, you're opening up the back of the shoulder and here, opening up the front of the shoulder. We didn't realise, I suppose, there's no manual. When you were born, you weren't born and then out popped a little manual on how to move. And unfortunately, we've only really viewed movement through tension. So if you read any book to move your arm up, you tense a certain muscle. To move your leg out, you tense a certain muscle, but always tense something. In Tai Chi, we can replace tension with expansion. Use the mind instead. You're trying to open up the body from the inside. So here, you're falling. You're not pulling your arm into a position. If you do, that's now clamping the joint shut. Instead, you're falling and allowing it to swing all on its own. So if I want this to reach over that side, I don't need to move it there, just need to let go. So in the same way, if you let your arm fall, it kind of reaches here anyway, more or less. You know, you started up here, it'll go slightly less than where you started from. But the idea is you're allowing movement. You're literally allowing movement. You're not making a move. You're allowing the move to happen. So here you're falling like a swing. And just as a swing would do, it will go up on its own to somewhere. So the only bit of effort you need really is to get from about here to here. And that's it. So you're falling, expanding, falling, expanding. Just the fact that one hand goes behind will already start to open the shoulder. If you push your arm behind, that will close the shoulder. And one of the ideas is to open the joints, not to restrict them. So this is the crane. So let's finish off on that exercise. So with your feet slightly in, so inside hip width, expand the fingers, expand the back, breathing in, and then rest and fall, breathing out. At the same time, lifting the crown, and rest. All right, give it a little shake. So let's do a little bit of a breathing exercise, and then we'll do a short 30-second break or so. Of course, if you want to have a rest at any time, you can't. That's not allowed. But of course, I can't see you, so you should sneak off and have a quick biscuit or something. And anyone that's relatively new or ancient, then of course take your time, go to your own pace, your own level. Probably something I should have mentioned at the start, but there you go. But just take your time and rest whenever you want to, get back to it whenever you want to. You don't have to start at the beginning, finish at the end. Tai Chi doesn't need to work in that way. Instead, you can pick it up from almost anywhere. So long as you follow the cardinal concepts of resting, opening, and freeing the body. Be mindful of what you're doing. That's pretty much it. So let's do some breathing exercise. And I actually didn't do my horse stance last night, so I'm going to use right now as an excuse to do that with you. So I'm going to do the Ma Bu, the horse stance. And if you would like to, then please feel free to join me. I'm going to play the meditation bells, and they last for 5 minutes. So all we're going to do is rest in this position for 5 minutes. Something in you, probably your quads, something in you will just say, this is hurting now, I'm going to stop. Although that's a good thing to do, it is important to stop, but not to stop the movement, but to stop the tension. So when you're in this horse stance position, which I'll quickly explain, it's shoulder width apart, sitting down as if you're on your favourite chair, and resting on a table or some weird Chinese instrument. Well, that's a good example actually, the strings. I don't know if you can see this, I think you can. But you see the strings, and it's like you're lightly pressing the strings, nothing solid like the Paloma would. Thank you very much. You're not pressing the wood, you're pressing something that's a little bit flexible, has a little bit of a vibration, a bit soft, and you're just resting on that as if it's cradling your palms. By the same token, your bottom is also seated on something like this. So like a hammock or a chair or an inflatable chair or something, and you're just floating there on a swing, whatever you feel. The key is not to hold the legs. The key is to rest down. You're learning to fall down towards the ground. Your palms are doing the same. The only thing that's lifting really is your crown, the baihui. So this part is lifting. Your arms would appear to be lifting, but they're doing the opposite. They're actually falling down. And I like to think of the parachute pressing, or the wind of the parachute falling and being enveloped within the parachute. So we're just going to rest in this position. 5 minutes. Perhaps we'll just get on with it. And I will play this nice music. It's a meditation bell for those who haven't heard it already. It's really nice because to me, it kind of represents the first 4 energies of Tai Chi. Expand, which is like the gong. Then it kind of diminishes, which is like Lu. It squeezes, wang, 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 which is like Ji, and creates an obvious wave, a sound wave, which is An. And perhaps for this one, I will give some instruction, but we'll start off first, and then I'll give some instruction during the exercise. I hope you can hear this, okay? Shoulder width, expand the back, fall down, but maintain the crown. The height, wherever your fist is, your hips are. Rest your body. In particular the shoulders. Your hips. Your replacement hips. Your knees. And perhaps the hardest of all, the lower back. Your palms are lightly expanding and opening. Your crown touches the sky. The weight of your hips falling towards just behind the balls of the feet. The weight of your torso is falling to the same place. In the Yang trend points, the bubbling well. The weight of your shoulders also falling to those same points. And your crown as if suspended from above by a silver cord tied to a cloud. Be aware of the weight of your arms, in particular your elbows. And if you have any strain or difficulty in the legs, it's going to sound absolutely ridiculous. If you have strain in your body, it's because of tension. So try to release that tension in the legs. So the hands representing the legs. Instead of holding on, let go. You may notice that for a second or two that pain subsides. So what seems to be pain was not actual pain, it was just a lack of oxygen. The muscles were so tight that your legs couldn't breathe. So it had nothing to do with the position really, and everything to do with tension. So we're here attempting to let go of that tension in the legs. If it helps, the movement or this position is nicknamed horse stance. So it's like riding a horse. So you sit on the horse. You're not holding the horse up. You're sitting on the horse. So have that idea with your legs connecting to each other. So you have one leg that goes from this foot through the hips, through the quad to this foot. That's one bridge going around the horse. You have another bridge. So you have one arm that starts from this hand, travels all the way up through your back and into the other hand, into space, and connecting the two through shoulders and the back. And this is another bridge, resting also on the horse, not holding up, but resting down. So you have two bridges. You might even be able to see it. This bridge through the hips, this bridge through the upper body. Oh, that's 5 minutes already. Okay, let's finish. And give it a little shake. Okay, if you need to go and get a drink or anything, usually this is the point in the class where you'll go and have a short rest. So have a short rest for maybe 30 seconds or a minute or so. I'm going to get a quick drink as well, and then we'll start again in just a few seconds. Oh, don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I'll read some of these things as well. What's happening here then? Steve Barnett is watching. Michael Colton is watching. Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Little wave. A little list of things to do. As always, that's gone out the window. That didn't work at all. But anyway, always ad lib as usual. Luckily, I've got another one. Just a quick note. I hope you're all doing well and as much as you can coping or even enjoying the corona thing. I know some of you have maybe had some symptoms and have now recovered. Fantastic. It's because you do Tai Chi, obviously. Yeah, I just hope you're doing really well. If not, if you need any assistance or something, I'm not available. Go and find someone else. But I'm sure they'll really help you in a great way. I'm kidding, of course. If there's anything I can do to help, then I will. And with these different groups that have popped up, I have the WhatsApp group. I'm sure lots of you do as well. Facebook groups, all these different things going on online. And there's been so much support and so much help from various little groups and helping each other, especially with the elderly. Some of them are probably a little bit frail, perhaps, and find it difficult to do certain things or lonely or something. So this is a really fantastic time to group together, come together, and to help each other out. Put our own rubbish aside, put our own nonsense in the bin, and come through as human beings helping each other. So that's already become quite apparent in the last few weeks, and I just hope that continues. I know this is a terrible thing that's happening, but with yin there's yang. There's always something positive to come out of it as well. My biggest positive is that I've tidied my dining room. Well, chucked it all out. So that's one thing. And also time for us to reflect and to work out what's important and what's not. So I hope you are gaining something from this situation. All right, I'll probably edit all that out if I can. So let's continue and learn some Matsun Kwen Tai Chi. Matsun Kwen Tai Chi is not really Matsun Kwen. It's just that the person who made it put it out there was called Matsun Kwen. So Master Ma. But really, it's not a system of Tai Chi. It's just Tai Chi. So every Tai Chi method really follows a system of principles. It's principles of moving, principles of breathing to assist that movement, and principles of internal, honest self-focus, which assists the breathing, which assists the body. So we have the regulation of the body, the regulation of the breath, and the regulation of the mind. Yang Cheng Fu gave 10, what are known as 10 important points on Tai Chi, and really these 10 points are the foundation of all Tai Chi practice. And then very often we accidentally go into just making shapes and moving slowly. Moving slowly is great, and making shapes is great, but it's not Tai Chi. Tai Chi is really a way of moving slowly in order that we can focus on the internals. And one of the key features is to notice what we do as opposed to what we think we do or what we know we should do. And the difficulty is that we live a kind of a separate life. We think, well, I know I should have done that, and I wish I had done that, but I didn't. And in Tai Chi, it's just a way of saying, okay, I'm going to do what I know I can do, and I'm going to develop this internal body and try to develop a way of moving which doesn't harm me and won't restrict me later on in life. I seem to be talking a lot, so I'm going to stop now, and let's just get through. We'll do the first few energies of the Matsun Kwen short form. It's not really a form, it's a sequence of 13 principles. Tai Chi is based on 13 principles and 10 points. And the first two principles are, one is yang, one is yin. The first one is to expand, and the other is to let go. Again, I know a lot of you are very accomplished in the various systems of Tai Chi, including this. But as a suggestion, to get the most out of these virtual classes, I would suggest that we pretend we've never done anything before. And that way we can get away from the idea or the cloud that kind of hinders our judgment and our awareness of what we're doing, and instead just go into something where we're completely new, completely fresh. And then if you know the fingers fall, for example, then just ask yourself, am I really letting the fingers fall, or am I just making the shapes again? A very common trap is to do shapes. So I'm going to face towards you. Again, I think the camera's reversed it on me. I'm not really sure what you see as opposed to what I can see in the screen. So I'm going to start this way anyway. And if you pretend that I'm your mirror, your very, very handsome, fetching, well-dressed, smart mirror. So I'm going to start. I've actually got my left leg forwards and my left arm forwards. And so you'll have your right hand and right leg. If it's reversed, then of course do the other way. And let's just follow me just for a few minutes on this exercise. Imagine a huge ball in front of you. Your body weight is slightly forwards. You're sitting on a huge balloon or a ball or a gym ball. If you've got one, go and grab it now. You're also resting your arms on a gym ball and the other arm also on the same gym ball. But your fingers are so heavy that they start to fall off the ball. Now, of course, if something falls off the ball will start to roll. So you're just going to allow the weight of your fingers to pull your body in such a way that it turns slightly. It turns slightly, not you turn your body. It turns because of the weight of your arm. If your arm was resting on something little, so if your arm was resting on something and the fingers fell off that something or it started to roll, it would draw your body with it and you would kind of fall that way. And it's something like that. You're falling that way. It's a mental idea, not a physical action. The music seems to have stopped. Let me just put on some more uncopyrighted music. Okay, so there's a ball. You're resting on it. Your fingers get so heavy that they fall off. Then let your body turn and retreat slightly and offer your wrist to the centre line. Then come forwards as if lifting something up or throwing something away. So let's do that again. Remember, you've never done this before. I've never done this before either. So we're resting on a ball. As you're resting, there's no need to have tension in the shoulders. Let your shoulders fall down and plummet inside your body onto your hips. Your waist is free to move. The fingers fall. Retreat slightly. Allow the body to turn. My left arm, this arm, almost goes to sleep. Let it hang. The other one is alive and the wrist on the centre. Roll. Expand the back slightly and throw something forwards. So the action is fall. Expand the back and throw. Start again. Fall. Turn. Expand the back and throw. Fall. Turn. Expand the back and throw. Fall. Turn. Expand back and throw. So it's your body weight slightly forwards, your body weight slightly backwards, your body weight slightly forwards. If something's falling, something else can energize. If something's energizing here, something else is falling. So you're kind of making this weird connected thing. One small piece of advice. Although your arms seem to be moving a lot, try to focus more on your back. It's the back that bridges the two arms together. So the idea is that your spine is kind of like the axis of a wheel, and your arms are kind of like the spokes. So you're falling. Feel inside your body that you are literally resting, expanding, and again resting or falling, undoing something, falling whilst expanding, and fall whilst expanding. So it's fall, expand, fall, to expand. Then, as if catching something, like a rope, pulling something and cutting it. Your eyes forwards the entire time, falling. The weight comes back slightly, forwards again, catch or pull, and drop. some pointers. You're not really moving your arms independently. You're moving your body, and your arms happen to be attached to that body by these groups of muscles reaching all the way down through your body, attaching to your spine, to your back. So it's not this tiny little piece of mobilizing tissue. Instead, it's all of this. So if I'm facing this direction, I hope you can still hear me. The movement is by turning, relaxing the hips, falling, turning again, let the arm go to sleep, then energize, forwards, pulling, and chopping. So again, fall, turn, expand, turn, pull the rope, and fall. It's kind of like you're pulling something over and cutting it in half. So you've caught something, grabbed it, and chopped. Where internal systems differ a lot from external systems, in external systems, which are not wrong, it's just a different concept, is you might pull with one side and cut with the other. In Tai Chi, you use your back. So the pulling side assists the cutting side. So the two things happen at the same time. It's one completed, unified movement. So the goal is to have your back connecting your two arms together to effectively create one long arm. Keeping that in mind, if you notice, it's not an idea, not the concept of moving the arm, and then that arm twisting the back, twisting the spine, forcing the legs, and then doing the external shape. It's more the idea of moving from your waist, always, 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 your crown up, tail down. From your waist, your arms get heavy, your arm and your elbow get heavy. Let the body turn, expand up. And here, I don't know if I can really get the point across, but it's not an arm action. It's a whole body action. So every part of you is turning from here. Every part of you is turning. Your arms appear to go to the left and then to the right. That doesn't happen. They're effectively staying in front of you the entire time. So if I face this way, when I've gone to here, the arms are still in front. When I've gone to here, the arms are still in front. To here, still in front. To here, if I just stand up to show, they're still in front. The big mistake is to move left and right. So I'm going to show you a wrong way. This is the incorrect way. So it's not move your arm across. See, I'm twisting my back already. The arms are biased to one side. Moving the arms across, forwards, and then moving the arms across. No, instead you're transporting everything from your centre. So your body moves, your body's the primary, I don't know the word, the primary something here, the primary motor, the point from which everything else is derived. Oh, that's quite clever. Then write that one down. So your body moves, and your body mobilises your arms. Our biggest challenge in this respect is that we see the arms move, and we move the arms separately on their own. As if they're a separate entity to the rest of you, and especially as if they're a separate entity to your centre. In Tai Chi, your centre moves, that's it, everything else follows. Your centre moves, everything else follows. So your body is the first thing to be conscious of. Your arms are almost the last thing to be conscious of. So you're falling, turning, falling onto your front leg, falling onto your back leg, still turning. If you turn this much, your arms will go to here. If you turn this much, your arms will go to there. Be very careful not to have your body static and moving your arms, or doing a very clever trick, which I've done, and I'm sure a lot of you have done as well, is to move the arms and the body. No, it's just the body, just the body. The arms are mobilised by your body. If your body was to stop, your arms would not continue. So have this idea of linking internally everything to everything else. If the mind is clear, free from too much distraction, I don't know which way is the best way to face. If your mind is clear, your movements will become smooth, connected, and link seamlessly from one to the next. That's not the goal. That's the effect of being clear. So you're not trying to make nice, smooth, rounded actions. No, they occur because of something inside, and that is the awareness that you have that's completely turned in and focused on you. It's being conscious of your own body and of your own movements, and even further than that, being able to direct your movements from your centre, not from the extremes. So this principle of connecting through your spine, falling, turning, expanding, turning and falling through your centre, not through the arms. Very, very challenging. Okay, so let's do a little bit more if you're okay with that. If not, then you can either stay on that, or if you prefer, you can try the next part as well. And gradually pick it up over the next few weeks or however long this thing lasts. And if you're already competent on these things, tough, pretend you've never done it before. So just take it from you, have a completely fresh, free mind. My problem in the past, or my difficulty in the past, was always when I went to learn things, I think, oh yeah, I know that. And months later I think, oh, I wasn't quite doing that as I expected. And the reason, the thing that stopped me, was me. So to have the child mind, the childish mind, just be like a sponge and absorb whatever happens, whatever you feel. And Tai Chi is sensory. It's not external. It's not where you position yourself. It's the internal being that you're affecting, and the outside happens to follow. So difficult to put that across, but I think you know what I mean. So I'm going to face this way. We'll do it a few times, but I'm also going to add on one small movement, which is to gather something and press it on your wrist. So I'll do it facing this way to begin with. So we've started off in our bow stance, gungu, and this idea of resting on the ball. The fingers got so heavy that they fell off. Let the body turn as if you're rolling the ball away almost, but with your centre. Then, as if to throw something forwards, pull the rope and cut. Then the hand that's closed, the back hand, is going to release, as if you're surrounding and gathering something, but being careful not to tense your shoulder. So you're gathering something, fall on your own wrist, and let your body weight fall towards your front leg. Common mistake is to push. It's not push, it's just releasing. So I'll do that once more from here. Fall, turn, expand, fall, turn and grip. Then go a little bit and squeeze. Squeeze, ji, squeeze, squeeze. Like squeezing the toothpaste out of the tube through the nozzle. This is the nozzle, this is where you're squeezing, this is where your attention is squeezing outwards. So we have pang, expand, lu, release. So we've gone to one side, we're going to do the same thing again. Pan, expand, release. Go to the other side. Let go. Lift from this inside line. And not forwards, but forward. Forward. At the same time, your back opens. So we have 3 actions. Pan, to one side, then the next. The third, squeeze, ji. And the fourth, final energy is to open, not from your arms, from everywhere. Hang the elbows. Expand again, filling up with air. Hang the elbows. Focus forwards. Drop your weight into the front leg. So after the squeeze, it's like you're expanding in all directions. The elbows hang, lift, fall, focus forwards. Oh, so tricky because there's no one here to push me around or to demonstrate why we do things a certain way. But one of the ultimate goals of Tai Chi is that you never need to take on force. If someone's pressing on you, for example, like a punch or a shove or a lock or something, we use a press because it's safer for the attacker, oddly. But if you're being pressed, very commonly we bind the muscles and we contract, which makes the other person's push or punch much, much stronger. And if I was to punch a football it's just a football on my hand, if I was to punch as hard as I can, it would just fly away. It doesn't get hurt in any way. If I was to punch or strike the door, it will move a bit, so it will absorb some of it, but not much. If I was to punch a wall, it doesn't move, it's completely solid, so it takes all of that impact. So in Tai Chi, that impact is taken on your joints and on the muscles, which is why they tear and they get damaged. So the ultimate goal is to release that down to the ground. So every movement has this in mind eventually. We don't need this information just yet, but I just seem to have spurted it out. But here, you're not trying to push, you're not trying to pull. But the idea is to expand, release, and you're always, always comfortable. So if ever you feel that you've put a little bit of effort, a little bit of tension somewhere, use that as a method through which you can undo that tension. So you're releasing it instead. And the release is always downwards. So to begin with, we want this idea of being on the ground. So if I'll do it a few more times this way, and then I'm going to face the other way. So we have this falling. If you have to pull your arm, it's too much stress. So instead, turn from your body, let your body rotate. There should be no stress on your arms or your shoulders or anything. Throw, draw, and cut. Release. This is the only occasion when you look more or less towards the hand, not to straighten, but just to lift with the shoulders soft. Fall, squeeze, expand, hang the elbows. The fingers as if they're being pulled up, hang the elbows again, and drop the weight forwards, press. In the forms, all the movements are slightly exaggerated to highlight what's happening inside the mind. So if I've said this in class a few times, if I was to say, to describe to a child how to write the letter A, for example, I might do something like this. A. But actually, in reality, it would be A. So things are exaggerated initially, just as a way to highlight the concepts that give rise to the actions that you're seeing. So here, this is quite exaggerated. So just to exaggerate initially, just to get the idea of a circle or a ball. Exaggerate slightly, exaggerate slightly, exaggerate a bit, exaggerate a bit, and again exaggerate slightly, exaggerate this fall, exaggerate this action, exaggerate this, exaggerate this. But ultimately the movements are internal, hence Tai Chi, internal systems. So gradually you won't need to move that much, but you'll have the sensation of all of this within a very small movement. So all of these are just to give us the principles of Tai Chi, which is why the 13 steps, which is what we're doing now, the 13 steps, is the 13 principles form. So you're just learning these 13 principles. So the principle of the letter A is that. Of course, you wouldn't write that on a page. It would be very delicate and much more subtle. So in Tai Chi, it's the same way. The method of learning is to exaggerate. And in fact, of Yang style in general is to exaggerate. Here, we're not we're exaggerating, but of course, it's just to promote this concept of linking what you know to what you're doing, and then it can be refined later. So let's do one more from here, and then I'll face the other way. So falling, that's the key, not moving your hand down. Falling, turn, expanding as if you're filling with air, falling again, linking through the back, letting go, and squeeze, falling again, but expanding the back, open, hang the elbows, an exaggerated lift, hang the elbows, press, up, press. Your weight slightly forwards. Let me show you from the other side, another angle. Fall, release and turn, expand, release and turn, release, expand, squeeze, open, hang the elbows, open, hang the elbows, press. Fall, turn, release, expand, exaggerate, this way. And maybe this way. Just a reminder, the crown searches for heaven, the tail searches for earth. So your spine is light, stretching in between. Notice the body is not lunging forwards or back, it's just falling towards the foot. So here the body weight goes here, not there. Here the body weight's not back, but more on your foot. So 4 energies: Pang, expand; Mu, let go of something, drop something, release something. Mu. Then repeat it again: Pang and Mu. The third energy: squeeze. Ji, squeezing the toothpaste out of the tube. Open. The fourth energy to create a wave, so like the swelling of the water, and then comes crashing down, creating this ripple effect. So, Pang, expand; Mu, release. In the West we call roll back, Mu, roll back. Squeeze, Ji, and press, creating this ripple. Up. You notice the movements are not overt, not really. They might be exaggerated, but you're not putting effort in, or at least not physical effort. So this would be not a useful way to practice. The key, which sounds really weird, is to do less. Achieve the same, but do less. Less effort to get the maximum that you can from it. So the idea is that you're falling, you're maintaining your spine 100% of the time. So there's never a need to collapse or to crush the neck, or the tail, or the back. But you want this freedom, this space inside the body, in such a way that you're comfortable, you're rested, you're relaxed, and you can continue for the whole day. For those of you that have come away with me to these various workshops and things, they literally are the whole day. You know, you can be doing 8-9 hours, plus your own practice, sometimes more, but you're not tired, like at all. So once the body starts to get into this natural state of just being nice and soft and fluid and connected and loose, it takes no effort. The hardship is getting through and breaking down all these barriers that we don't realise that we've built up over the years of being strong and powerful and we're trying to lose or at least refine the body in such a way that we become freer. I think it's my own house. I don't even know where my own clock is. Yeah, I think it's time to finish. Let's finish off now. I realise that I've been waffling on an awful lot during all of that, so I apologise for that. I think that you can watch it back later. I think it's all recorded in the video section of Facebook. If so, of course, go through, click on it, and go through and skip past all my nonsense. But take from it what you can. Happy practicing, and it seems to be the buzzword at the moment. But stay safe, be well. So I hope you enjoyed it, and let's finish then. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you'll join me again either tomorrow or next week. And the format's going to be the same. I'm always going to do a piece of a form, but the next time I do the session, it will be the next part, the next part, the next part, and then keep going through until you're a master. And yeah, okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon.